This video is sponsored by NordPass. And it's all about my phone of the year. And it's been a hell of a year, hasn't it, 2020? Yeah, let's not get into that. But what I do want to do is tell you why the phone that I'm about to reveal as my phone of the year is my phone of the year, but specifically before that, what kind of phone I want as a user, as a reviewer. And I'm looking here for the most competent all-rounder that is perfect for a power user like me, that's just easy to live with and an absolute pleasure to own. And there are a few contenders. But before I get into that, I just want to say the surprise for me this year has been just how good Xiaomi phones are. You may have seen one of my previous videos. I actually bought a Xiaomi phone for a friend of mine, Carla in Chitre. Hi, hope you're doing okay. And it blew me away how good it was. But they are, I think, excelling in the sort of under $500, £500 kind of area. This is different. This is my phone of the year at any price point. And here are the runners-up. The Xperia 1 Mark II, the Xperia 5 Mark II, the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, and even the 12 Pro Mini, everything but the 12, although I quite like the 12, and also the Galaxy Note 20 series as well. All of those are fantastic. So, should we just do this? I'll tell you what it is. Actually tell you what my phone of the year, actually, do you know what, before I do, I'm just gonna tell you about NordPass because it's absolutely brilliant. And I've said this before, when you have a YouTube channel like this, you always hope that you have amazing sponsors, and NordPass is absolutely as good as we could ever hope for. And I say that because I've been using NordVPN for years, it's fantastic, and NordPass is absolutely up to the same standard. It's actually my favorite password manager. It's absolutely brilliant in terms of memorizing your credit card details for easy online payments. Everything is secure, it doesn't get sent off to other servers unencrypted. It's beautifully designed, and it's totally 100% recommended from us here at BTEX to you. And they very kindly at NordPass gave us a 70% discount to you guys watching, which I thoroughly recommend. It's in the video description below. Thank you, NordPass, for sponsoring this. Now for the big reveal, the phone of the year. It was almost a tie between the Xperia 1 Mark II and the Xperia 5 Mark II, but I've decided to go for the Xperia 1 Mark II. And here's why. Let's kick things off with that beautiful 4K display. It really is, to me, such a wonderful, wonderful display. And it's partly because it's so good and it's 4K, and it's also because of that 21:9 aspect ratio. And that's great for content, but it's equally good for multitasking, and it's good for living with the phone on the daily, because it's a big phone, but it doesn't feel like a big phone. It isn't heavy. That aspect ratio lends itself to just being so easy to pocket. That's what I wanted to say, easy to pocket. It's really, really wonderful. But the headphone jack being there is just really useful to me, and it shows that there's still that independence of thought at Sony, which we love and respect. They're not, tempted to just follow everyone else. They do their own thing. I admire that and I respect that, and it's practical and it's useful. It's great for the audio files. I love the speakers. I love watching content on this thing on the go. I think the fact that it's light and understated as a design is just very, very compelling. I think that the fact that the design is so low-key really appeals to me. I love the fact that it isn't a bling machine. I also like the fact, and maybe this is a bit, I don't know, naughty, I don't know, it's something to me anyway, is that it's an unusual phone to see when you're out and about. It's rare, it's a bit more exclusive, I suppose you could say. I quite like that. I like the fact that there aren't too many of these around. I also want to say that it has changed the way that I now see smartphones, because I always used to enjoy taking pictures in auto mode before I got to live with this phone. I loved the Pixel approach, I loved the iPhone approach. This year there isn't really a Pixel flagship. The 5 isn't really a flagship, is it? It's kind of high mid-range, I suppose you could say. But this is the first phone I've ever spent time with that has persuaded me to go into the Pro modes, and my goodness, I've loved it. Now, I know that there are wonderful apps that you can use on the iPhone and other Android phones that will do similar things, but there's something about the way that Sony has designed this, like it's fantastic cameras, you know, dedicated cameras, mirrorless and so on. It's just the alpha approach really works for me. I've understood and learned more about photography as a result of this phone, and that's a game changer for me, and it's why I love the phone so much. The number one reason why I love the phone so much. I mean, there are lots of other smaller reasons. For example, the notification light. It's just, you know, when it blinks away there, it lets you know what you need to know without going over and unlocking it. I love the fact that when I've done this actually, in fact I might be able to pull up the B-roll here for you. When I put the iPhone 12 Pro face down and the Xperia 1 Mark II, I grab them both, turn them around. The 1 Mark II unlocks quicker with that side fingerprint scanner there. It's very, very quick and it's perfectly placed. So there are so many subtle reasons why this is a really, really pleasant phone to live with as a daily driver. It's the best phone of the year for me. I would love to know what you think, and I would love to know what you think could be improved about the Xperia 1 Mark II as it becomes the 1 Mark III in the future. So my final thoughts really with the 1 Mark II is, how could it be improved going forwards? Well, I have done a video on that, but what I do want to do is say I would like Sony to make a very clear presentation on exactly how many OS upgrades phones are going to get, and I want a commitment from Sony to be absolutely as on point as possible with security updates and monthly patches and so on, because really, if they can be as good as Google are with the Pixel phones, and even Samsung is really upped their game when it comes to OS upgrades and security updates, if they can get into that kind of stratosphere, the longevity just improves. And we know Sony's committed to longevity just by how they look after the battery with their battery tech, you know, the care tech there. So, I mean, it's an absolutely formidable phone, the 1 Mark II, and this year it's the only phone that I have recommended to my closest family and friends who are up for, you know, spending a bit of cash. I absolutely love it. This video is not sponsored by Sony, and they've never sponsored anything like this. It is sponsored by NordVPN. Thank you guys for sponsoring it, and thank you so much for watching. 2020 has been absolutely rubbish on so many levels for so many of us. It's been difficult. This phone, the 1 Mark II, has been a real highlight for me, and having been in lockdown in Panama City, in Panama, unable to leave the apartment for just more than a couple of hours a week legally, which I didn't break the law, by the way, that phone really became a lifesaver, and the Pro modes are just so much fun. So yeah, it's a great phone, my phone of the year. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.